আসসালামু আলাইকুম আমিনুল।
আসসালামু আলাইকুম স্যার।
আসসালাম, ভালো সবাই?
জি স্যার, ভালো আছে। আপনি কেমন আছেন স্যার?
আছি, আলহামদুলিল্লাহ আছি, সবার দোয়ায় ভালো আছি। থ্যাংক ইউ। আমি একটু একটা আনুষঙ্গিক কথা বলি, প্রয়োজনীয় কতগুলো ইনফরমেশন। সেটা হচ্ছে যে you are known that exam notice or notification has been issued. কাজেই এখন কি করতে হবে, ফর্ম ফিল আপ তাড়াতাড়ি আমরা করে ফেলবো, অর্থাৎ আমাদের ছাত্রছাত্রী বৃন্দ যারা আছেন as early as possible those the subject you have enrolled and also joining situation for the respect to obtain the class eligibility. তাহলে কি হলো, যারা আমরা এনরোল করেছি অর্থাৎ ছাত্ররা যারা এনরোল করেছেন, ছাত্রছাত্রী বোথ, এবং ক্লাস করছেন এবং ক্লাস এলিজিবিলিটি থাকবে, অর্থাৎ 60 হলেই আমরা স্পেশাল ইয়েতে ছেড়ে দেই, বাট 75 অনলাইনের জন্য যারা এগুলো থাকবে তারা পরীক্ষা দিতে পারবে। প্যাস যারা পিরিয়ডিক্যাল স্টুডেন্ট, ওনারা যেহেতু ফার্মে যান না, এই জন্য ক্লাস এলিজিবিলিটি ক্লাস অ্যাটেন্ডেন্স হলেই আপনারা যে ক্লাসে আসতেছেন এটা অটো আপনার ইয়ে হয়ে যাচ্ছে, কি বলে যে কাউন্ট হয়ে যাচ্ছে, ক্লাস এলিজিবিলিটি হবে এবং এটার একটা প্রত্যয়ন আকারে আমরা ইস্যু করে দেই অ্যাজ ইউজুয়াল, এবং সেটাতেই আপনারা পরীক্ষা দিতে পারেন। ক্লাস এলিজিবিলিটি ক্লাস স্ট্যাটাস যেটা, তাহলে এই একটা কি হলো যে যারা ক্লাস করছেন এবং ফার্মে যারা আছেন আর্টিকেল স্টুডেন্ট বলা হয়, ওনাদের ক্রাইটেরিয়াটা এরকম যে ফিটনেস সার্টিফিকেট লাগবে। তাহলে ফিটনেস সার্টিফিকেটটা কি, on or before completion of 3 years, that is called, and duration of your fitness, তাহলে কি হলো, remain one or except 1 day, that is called fitness, আর over and completion situation 3 years, ওটা হলো CC, and it is also the golden certificate of this profession. এজন্য বহু আমাদের সিনিয়র ছাত্র আছেন, তারা সিসি করে বড় বড় চাকরিতে আছেন। তো যেটা বলার যে পরীক্ষা দিতে দুটো জিনিস লাগবে, একটা হলো ক্লাস এলিজিবিলিটি অ্যাটেন্ডেন্স, আর একটা হচ্ছে ফার্মের ফিটনেস সার্টিফিকেট। আপনারা কেবল সদ্য কারো 8 মাস 6 মাস 3 মাস যাচ্ছে, তো কাজেই দ্য সার্টিফিকেট which is also signed by the respective principal of the concerned firm, কোন ফার্ম, যেগুলো আমাদের সিনিয়র চার্টার্ড অ্যাকাউন্টেন্ট আছেন ওনারা সিগনেটরি এবং আমাদের আইসিবি প্রেসক্রাইব ফর্ম দিয়ে থাকি বাই লজ অনুসারে, ওনারা ইস্যু করে দেন। এটাই হলো। তাহলে মাই ডিয়ার স্টুডেন্ট, দুটো জিনিস পরীক্ষায় বিশেষ করে লাগে, সেটা হলো ক্লাস এলিজিবিলিটি লাগবে, আর আপনারা করে যান, আমরা এটা ইনশিওর করে দিব। আমার পার্ট যেটা, অর্থাৎ আমাদের পার্ট আমরা ইনশিওর করে দেব। ইট উইল বি নো প্রবলেম অল অফ ইউ, আপনাদের কোনো চিন্তার কারণ নাই, ক্লাস করে যান। অটোমেটিক্যালি অটো আমাদের জেনারেশন আছে, আমরা সেন্ড করে দিব, বাস পরীক্ষা সেকশনে হয়ে যাবে। আর আরেকটা যেটা ফিটনেস সার্টিফিকেট, ওইটা আপনি আপনার প্রিন্সিপাল থেকে নিয়ে নেবেন, নিয়ে ওখানে ডাউনলোড আপলোড অথবা স্ক্যান করে দিয়ে দিবেন, তাই তো। আর স্পেসিফিক আমাদের যে পরীক্ষার ফিস আছে বা ইয়ে আছে, এটা আমরা অর্থাৎ ছাত্রছাত্রীবৃন্দরা পরিশোধ করবেন, করে যাবেন। এই গেল পরীক্ষার একটা কারেন্ট ইস্যু। আর তেমন নাই, ক্লাস করেন, ইউ হ্যাভ ম্যাক্সিমাম টাইম ইন ইউর হ্যান্ডস, এন্ড সো আই থিঙ্ক সিনসিয়ারলি দ্যাট ইট উইল নো প্রবলেম অল আপন ইউ, মাই ডিয়ার। এখন আমরা মন দিয়ে ক্লাস করব। এই যে আমাদের সব স্বনামধন্য এবং ভেরি পোটেনশিয়াল রিসোর্স আপনাদের সামনে আসছেন এক একজন, হ্যাঁ, কেউ ডিএমডি, কেউ এমডি আপনাদের সেকশনে আছেন, কেউ ডেপুটি সেক্রেটারি গভর্নমেন্টের আছেন, আবার অনেকে আছেন সিএফও, সিনিয়র পার্টনার। মনে রাখবেন দা guys, that means respective teachers who are teaching here maximum also have good achievements. ওনার প্রফেশনাল হিসেবে ভালো, এবং আপনাদের এই যে ইভালুয়েটেড বাই দ্য অনলাইন সিস্টেম, ইভালুয়েশনের মাধ্যমে ওনারা টিকে থাকেন। আর একটা হচ্ছে যে ওনাদের মোটো as per norms of the institute to contribute the profession and producing chartered accountants. এই যে একটা উৎসর্গ করেন ওনার নর্মস অনুসারে আমাদের চার্টার্ড অ্যাকাউন্ট। এখানে ইউনিভার্সিটিরা হেল্পফুল কিছু কিছু সাবজেক্টে, ইউনিভার্সিটি টিচার্স, আদার্স প্রফেশনাল, যেহেতু সিএ এডুকেশন দে আর competent and also very eligible for this profession to take care of the specific the student, that means trainees আপনারা যারা আছেন। এই জন্য ফার্মেও ট্রেনিং দেওয়া হয়, আমাদের ইনস্টিটিউট থেকেও এখানকার নর্মস অনুসারে আপনার ওনারাই থাকেন। এই শর্টে আমি বলে দিলাম পরীক্ষার ইতিবৃত্ত। আচ্ছা, এখন আসি আর একটা বিষয় বলে, আমি আমাদের শ্রদ্ধা সিও স্যার অলরেডি হয়তো আসছেন বা আসবেন, কোনো অসুবিধা নাই, আমরা আরেকটু ছাত্র আসুক, সবাই একসঙ্গে ক্লাস করবেন। আর আমাদের শ্রদ্ধা সিও স্যার, আমাদের সুভাষিস স্যার এমনিতেই ব্যস্ত থাকেন, একটু 1 মিনিট রেস্ট নিন, এরপরে আমরা একবারে শুরু করবেন, বাস উইল বি কন্ডাক্টেড ইফেক্টিভলি, নো প্রবলেম। তাহলে এখন কনসিকুয়েন্ট যেটা বলতে চাইলাম, যে আমাদের অন্যান্য সাবজেক্ট যেগুলো আছে প্রায় দেখলাম I have gone through and taxation upon of your concerned allotted classes as per schedule. সেখানে দেখলাম যে অনেক টিচারই প্রায় মিডল ক্রস করে গেছেন বা কাছাকাছি, অর্থাৎ কারোর 10টা ক্লাস থাকলে উনি সপ্তম অষ্টমে অবস্থান করতেছেন। তো এই জন্য আপনাদের উচিত হবে যে at the end situation of your completion classes, যেমন কাছাকাছি আসলে free and frank to the teachers and also feedback of your unknowing matters. আপনারা যেটা জানেন না, যেটা অসুবিধা হয়, সেটা আপনাদের শ্রদ্ধ শিক্ষক মন্ডলীর কাছে জেনে নেবেন, কারণ ক্লাস চলে গেলে এটা সিএ প্রফেশনটা এরকম, মাই ডিয়ার, ইউ আর দো অ্যাকচুয়ালি নিউ ফ্রেশার অনেকে এখানে, যে আপনি ক্লাসে যাকে পাচ্ছেন এরকম অন্য কোথাও পাবেন না। প্রাইভেট টিউশনে, if you carry the private tuition, it will not make, I think, complete further perfect of your perfect of your knowledge. এই জন্য এটা একটা সুবর্ণ সুযোগ। এই যে বিদেশে অনেক ইয়েতে এই আমাদের যেটা ক্লাস নেই, প্রি এক্সামিনেশন ক্লাস বলি, অনেকে কোচিং ক্লাস বলেন, এটা না, কোচিং না, এটা হলো প্রি এক্সামিনেশন মিনস ম্যান্ডেটরি ক্লাস। আপনি ক্লাস না করলে পরীক্ষা দিতে পারবেন না। অনেক ইনস্টিটিউটে আপনার স্পেশালি অ্যাব্রোড, অ্যাব্রোড যেগুলো আছে ওনারা এটা রাখেন না, কিন্তু বাংলাদেশে এটা রাখা হয়েছে। এবং কিছু এখানে যারা ইনস্টিটিউটের পূর্বের যারা ছিলেন ডিজিস্ট, আল্লাহ তাদের জান্নাত দিক, অনেক এখানে বড় বড় মানুষ ছিলেন, প্রেসিডেন্ট ছিলেন, ইনস্টিটিউটের কাউন্সিলর ছিলেন, এবং গভর্নমেন্টেরও ইয়ে ছিল এখানে। তো ওনারা একটা নর্মস করে গেছেন যে আমাদের বাংলাদেশের যেন প্রত্যেকটা অলসো কামিং দ্য রিমোট প্লেস, প্রত্যন্ত অঞ্চল থেকে যারা আসবে তারা যেন শিক্ষাটা নিতে পারে। It is flexible. It is very, you know, not only highly remunerated, also the prestigious education, noble education. সবাই করতে পারে, সবাই ইয়ে করতে পারে। এটা একটা সুন্দর, কিন্তু সিএ প্রফেশনের সৌন্দর্য, প্লেজেন্ট সিনারিও, আর কি বলা যাবে যে এটা আউটলুক। এই জন্য মাই ডিয়ার, সংক্ষেপে যেটা বলতে চাইলাম যে ইউ আর ইন গুড টাস্ক ইন স্টাডিজ। যেহেতু ভর্তি হয়েই গেছেন, মন দিয়ে লেখাপড়া করি আর পরীক্ষার জন্য প্রস্তুতি নেই। আমাদের যে সকল ক্লাস, যখন ধরেন আমরা আশা করতেছি অক্টোবরে শেষ করব, কিছু স্পেশাল ক্লাস নিব, যেমন আজকের ক্লাস আমাদের শ্রদ্ধা প্রধান নির্বাহী স্যারের ট্যাক্সেশন, এসেনশিয়াল ক্লাস। আমি আগেও বলেছি যে দৈনন্দিন ব্যবহারিক জীবনে, তারপর আপনি যখন চার্টার্ড অ্যাকাউন্টেন্ট হবেন, অথবা নাই হন, হাফ হয়ে কোথাও আপনি কি বলে যে ফিনান্সিয়াল অথবা বিজনেস সেক্টরে কোথাও যোগদান করবেন, আপনাকে অ্যাকাউন্টস জানতে ট্যাক্সেশনের দরকার হবে, অডিটিং তো আছেই, অ্যাসুরেন্স তো আছেই, ট্যাক্সটাও এখন পার্ট অ্যান্ড পার্সেল অলসো বিকামিং টু আওয়ার লাইভলিহুড করসপন্ডেন্স ফেনোমেনা। এই জন্য আমাদের জীবনযাত্রার ইয়েতে ট্যাক্সটাও এখন অত্যন্ত জরুরি হয়ে গেছে। আপনি এখানে গ্রাজুয়েশন করলে, এটা করলে, আইটিপি প্র্যাকটিশনার হয়েও ইউ ক্যান অলসো আর্ন অ্যান্ড বেয়ার দ্য এক্সপেন্সেস অফ ইউর ফ্যামিলিজ, ইভেন ইউ। তো এই জন্য আইটিপি প্র্যাকটিশনার আন্ডার দি গাইডেন্স অফ এনবিআর অনেক আমাদের ছাত্র সেখানে আমি একটু গুরুত্বের কথা বললাম, যেটা মাই ডিয়ার, যে ট্যাক্সটা ভালো করে শিখে নেন। যেন এখানে এমন বেসটা হলো, এই যে রেগুলার টিচার গুলো তো নিচ্ছেন, এবং রেগুলার টিচার দে আর ভেরি এফিসিয়েন্ট, যারা ক্লাস নিচ্ছেন। আমার তো আসার পরে আমার মনে হয় 12-13 বছর ধরে তারা খুব এক্সেলেন্ট ক্লাস নিচ্ছেন, এবং তারা ট্যাক্সের স্পেশালিস্ট বা এক্সপিরিয়েন্সড পটেনশিয়াল রিসোর্স হয়ে গেছে। তো কাজে একবারেই যেন ইয়ে হয়ে যায়। আর ওভারঅল ডিসকাশন, ফিডব্যাক, কোশ্চেনারি অ্যান্ড অলসো স্মুথ অফ ইউর মিডিয়াম ইনস্ট্রাকশন, ইংরেজিটা যেন আপনারা শুনতে পারেন, বলতে পারেন, প্রেজেন্টেবল হতে পারেন, কমফোর্টেবলি আপনারা আনসার করতে পারেন। এই জন্য আমরা রিকোয়েস্ট করে আমাদের শ্রদ্ধা প্রধান নির্বাহী স্যারকে এখানে এনে থাকি। হ্যাঁ, এখানে হয়তো আপনাদের একটু আমরা, বিশেষ করে সামনে আমাদের রেসপেক্টেড হিন্দু কমিউনিটির শারদীয় দুর্গোৎসব আছে, এরপরেই হয়তো আপনারা স্যার কিভাবে আমরা কম হবে, হয়তো সপ্তাহে একদিন আনতে পারবো। কারণ হচ্ছে যে প্রফেশনালের আমাদের আবার ওখানে এক্সাম নেয়ার বাই, ওখানেও হয়তো স্যারকে কন্ট্রিবিউশনের জন্য আমরা বলবো। এই জন্য যতটুকু পাওয়া যায় সেরে নেন, প্রত্যেকে ক্লাসে থাকেন, যথাসময়ে থাকেন। আমি 7:30টার দিকেই হয়তো স্যারকে হ্যান্ড ওভার করে দিব। এমনি আপনাদের কোনো কিছু বলার আছে কিনা? 2 মিনিট প্লিজ ক্যাপ্টেন। আর আমাদের কি বলে আলিজা বোন, যদি কিছু বলার থাকে। আমিন, অমল বাবু, ফাহমিদা আপন, যদি আপনাদের কিছু বলার থাকে 2-1 মিনিট বলেন। কিছু যদি জানার থাকে, বলার থাকে। আমরা ক্লাসের দিকে ক্লাসমুখী হব, হয়তো আমি সিএস স্যারকে হ্যান্ড ওভার করে দেব।
আসসালামু আলাইকুম স্যার।
হ্যাঁ আনোয়ার ভাই বলেন, প্লিজ প্লিজ কিছু বলবেন আনোয়ার।
ওই আমাদের স্যার আমাদের স্যারদের তো প্রত্যেকজনের মেবি 10টা করে ক্লাস স্যার। তো
না
তারপরেও যদি স্যার এখানে
হ্যাঁ,
10টা ক্লাসে অনেক সময় আমাদের মানে
বুঝে গেছি। মানে আপনি বলতে চাচ্ছেন যে 10টা ক্লাসে যদি কভার না করা যায় তখন কি হবে? হ্যাঁ, আপাতত নিক 2-একটা সেশন আমাদের বোর্ডের অনুমতি আছে যে ইফ ইট ইজ নিডেড। তবে এরকম না যে একদম আধিক্য সম্পন্ন, যে দেখা যাচ্ছে 2টো ক্লাস দরকার, আমাদের পারমিশন আছে, বোর্ডের অর্ডার আছে। কাজে বোর্ড অফ স্টাডিজের নির্দেশনা এরকম যে ইফ রিকোয়ার্ড ফর ফার্দার ক্লাসেস এন্ড ইমপ্রুভ অফ দ্য স্টুডেন্ট, আমরা হয়তো অনুমতি নিয়ে করে ফেলবো, অসুবিধা নাই।
থ্যাংক ইউ স্যার, থ্যাংক ইউ স্যার,
ঠিক আছে,
থ্যাংক ইউ।
আমরা বলি
ওকে স্যার।
যে এটা একটা ইনস্টিটিউট, আপনার স্ট্রাকচার, আর আমাদের অটোনমাস বডি, এছাড়াও তো পাইনিয়ার ইনস্টিটিউট। কাজে মাই ডিয়ার, হোয়াটস দ্য I think norms, even the practices or arrangement, especially education, fully depending reasonably and respective rules, regulation, terms, conditions. কোনো অসুবিধা নাই। আর
স্যার আমরা স্যার আমরা যদি চাই যে আমাদের যে যে সাবজেক্টগুলোতে একটু সমস্যা বা আমরা যদি ম্যানুয়ালটা যদি গ্রো থ্রু করে স্যার কিছু প্রবলেম পাই, সেক্ষেত্রে আমাদের কয়েকটা স্যার এক্সট্রা ক্লাসের যদি
হ্যাঁ
করা
হ্যাঁ,
লাগে
ওইটাই তো
ব্যবস্থা, ওইটা
বললাম যে
ওইটা স্যার
প্রত্যেক,
ওইটা কার সাথে যোগাযোগ করবো বা কিভাবে
ওইটা
করবো
ওইটা
স্যার?
আমরাই আসবো, আমি আছি, আমাদের আরো যারা আছেন কনসার্ন সব হবে। আর এটা না, সময় তো আছে আরো, তো প্রায় আমার ধারণা যে 1 মাস 10 দিনের মতো তো ক্লাস হবে। এই জন্য হোক। আর এটা হলে উইল কাম টাইম টু টাইম and you will also ask me, advise us, কোনো অসুবিধা নেই।
ওকে স্যার, ওকে, থ্যাংক ইউ
থ্যাংক
স্যার,
ইউ স্যার।
হ্যাঁ, মেল তো আছে, মেলে
থ্যাংক ইউ।
দিয়ে জানাবেন। আর আমরা আসবো। আর ক্যাপ্টেন যারা আছেন প্লিজ অলসো টেক কেয়ার দিস, ওকে? হ্যাঁ
স্যার
শাহজাহান ভাই, থ্যাংক ইউ ভেরি মাচ। তাহলে আমি মনে হয় আর
থ্যাংক ইউ
কথা
স্যার,
না
থ্যাংক ইউ
বাড়াই।
স্যার,
হ্যাঁ, আমরা
থ্যাংক
একটু
ইউ।
ইয়েতে যাই। আর আমি একটু দেখি, হ্যাঁ আমার মনে হয় আমাদের শ্রদ্ধেয় প্রধান নির্বাহী স্যার চলে আসছেন, কাজে আমাদের অভিভাবক, কাজে ইউ আর অ্যাকচুয়ালি রিসিভিং দ্য chief executive of the officer of the institute. And you are very lucky. স্যার যা আসেন সুন্দর করে ক্লাস করেন, আর আরো কয়েকটা নিক, তারপরও স্যারের সাথে আপনারাও কথা বলতে পারবেন। আর আরেকটা রিকোয়েস্ট করি যে ইফ ইউ আর নট ক্যাপাবল স্পেসিফিক কন্টেন্টস ইভেন টু মেক অ্যাপ্রোপ্রিয়েট ইংলিশ, প্লিজ ইউ মে স্পিক ইউর মাদার টাং, বাংলায় বলেন, অসুবিধা নাই, ভুলের কিছু নাই। আমি স্যারের পারমিশন নিয়ে নিয়েছি আগে। এর জন্য আপনি এমন হয় যে আপনি জানতেছেন না, বুঝতেছেন না, কিন্তু আমি কথাই না, আপনি বাংলাতেই বলেন। আমার রিকোয়েস্ট থাকলো, স্যার উইল অলসো কভার দ্যাট ভেরি সিম্পল ইংলিশ, এবং ইট ইজ আই থিঙ্ক মার্জিনাল বাট গুড টু রিয়ালাইজ ফার্দার অলসো ইউর আন্ডারস্ট্যান্ডিং। দেখবেন আমি যেটা স্যারের গুণগ্রাহী সেটাই করতেছি, যেটা আসলে আপনাদের জন্য হয়, এবং আমি দেখেছি এক্সেসিং কিছু বলছি না, যে আপনি যাই বলেন দেখবেন সুন্দর করে স্যার ওটাকে বলে দিবেন। আর একটা যেটা, যে স্যার কখনোই আপনার রিগ্রেট করেন না, অথবা ওখানে কখনোই উনি ইয়ে হন না। মূলত our guardian is coming to promote you and to give you, to make contribute. একটা ইনস্টিটিউটে পুরোধায় আছেন, কিছু দিতে চান, জড়িত হতে চান। ক্লাস না অনেক কষ্ট, মাইন্ড ইট। আমরা কাজ করি ইয়ে আছে, কিন্তু আসলে যারা ক্লাস নেন, এটা রেন্ডারিং, এটা উৎসর্গ করা ফর দ্য ন্যাশনাল প্রফেশন। আমি জানিয়ে যাচ্ছি, এই যে আছে না একটা, যে আমি পাখি, আমি গান গেয়ে যাই, এরকম এটাকে আমরা মূল্য দিই। আমার এটা বলার this example carries before you that you should be realized and also make effective the class, my dear. তো আমি স্যারকে ছেড়ে দেব, আর আল্লাহ ভরসা দোয়া থাকলো। উইল কাম এগেন, সপ্তাহে তো দেখা হচ্ছে। আল্লাহ হাফেজ।
আসসালামু আলাইকুম। আসসালামু
আমি
আলাইকুম
বিদায়
স্যার।
নিচ্ছি। হ্যাঁ, ওয়ালাইকুম আসসালাম। থ্যাংক ইউ স্যার। আই এম ইউর হালিম স্যার, and also request please to make kindly come and just to start your valuable session. স্যার আসা যাবে, ছাত্র প্রায় এসে গেছে অনেক, কাজে ক্লাস নাও যাবে। স্যার প্লিজ কাম ইনটু দ্য ভিডিও জাস্ট টু স্টার্ট। সিনপসিসটা সাথে রাখি, আজকে থার্ড, অর্থাৎ পঞ্চম এবং ষষ্ঠ ক্লাস, ভেরি ইম্পর্টেন্ট চ্যাপ্টার। সিনপসিসটা সাথে রাখি এবং স্যারের ক্লাসে আমরা মনোনিবেশ করি। প্লিজ স্যার, প্লিজ। আদাব স্যার, আদাব। We
আদব
are
স্যার,
also
আদব
looking
স্যার।
you. Nicely, no problem. And you may kindly start. আপনি শুরু করেন স্যার, সবাই আছে, আর
Okay.
সুবিধা হবে না।
Thank you. So, good evening to everybody.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Welcome to this session. I believe I had another 2 sessions with you before, and this is the 3rd session I am having this evening. So this is on something which is very important for you, as unexplained investments, etc., which are deemed to be income. So if you have unexplained investment, that could be treated as deemed income and could be assessed to tax. So in that way, the section, that is section 19, has to be conceptually very sound to you. If you know them very well, in that case, you will just calculate the deemed income of the assessee in case he has not shown anything or he has hidden something or evaded something. So that could be the way how you can do it, especially the Deputy Commissioner of Taxes. And you can represent the assessee before the Deputy Commissioner of Taxes, defending him. But whenever you see that it is not possible to defend him, in that case, you can suggest him constructively. That means if the income is assessed, you can prefer an appeal against the order given by the Deputy Commissioner of Taxes to the Appellate Joint Commissioner or Appellate Additional Commissioner of Taxes for giving him benefit. Since the city is the pivotal officer and he is the assessment officer, so sometimes this is difficult for him to give you benefit. So it could be given by the higher authorities, higher appellate authorities, I would say. So that's why it is necessary for you to know about everything very well and the ins and outs of the income tax law. So let us see the section 19, and it starts with section 19.1. That means section 19 subsection 1. And it is said here that where any sum is found credited in the books of accounts of an assessee maintained for any income year, and the assessee offers no explanation about the nature and source of income, or the explanation offered is not, in the opinion of the Deputy Commissioner of Taxes, satisfactory, the sum so credited shall be deemed to be his income for that income year, classifiable under the head income from other sources. So I have given you a handout wherein I have mentioned everything in detail, but in a consolidated form. And there I have said that this is the cash credit. So the term cash credit is found in the accounts, and income tax law cases sometimes refer to cash credits. So this is the situation when you will find cash credit. That means a sum has been found credited in the books of accounts, but the source is not mentioned there. From whom that amount has been received by the assessee is not mentioned properly. It might be from sale, but if it is not mentioned that he has received it from the purchaser of the goods, then you cannot accept it. Because if there is a sale, it is of course mentioned in the sales book. And if it is from some other source, maybe from the bank or from anybody else, that means somebody has given you an advance, or somebody has given you any loan, or you have received a part of the loan from the bank or non-banking financial institution. In that case, it could also be credited in the books of accounts, or maybe in the bank account, whatever it is. In that case, the Deputy Commissioner of Taxes would ask you for an explanation as to the nature and source of that income. Nature and source means what type of income it is, or what type of amount it is, whether this is a gift, whether this is a loan, or whether this is an advance, or this is the sale receipt from sales, etc. So whatever it is. In that case, the DCT will judge whether this is taxable or not. If the DCT receives explanation from the assessee, and if the explanation is not satisfactory in the opinion of him, in that case he will add this income to the total income of the assessee under section 33, read with section 19 subsection 1. So income from other source, that means under section 33. And the DCT will definitely write in the assessment order that this income has been added to the total income under section 33 of the IT Ordinance 1984, read with section 19 subsection 1. So that should be mentioned in the assessment order. Then you will understand why that amount has been added to the total income of the SSC. So section 91 is 19.1 is very important from that viewpoint. Whenever in the assessment order, you will see that an income has been added to the total income or included in the total income under section 19.1, it means that a cash credit has been found in the books of accounts of the SSC, and the SSC could not explain it as to the nature and source of that income. So that's why it has been added. Then come to section 19.2. The section says that where in any income year the SSC has made investments or is found to be the owner of any bullion, jewelry, or other valuable article, and the Deputy Commissioner of Taxes finds that the amount expended on making such investments or in acquiring such bullion, jewelry, or other valuable article exceeds the amount recorded in this behalf in the books of accounts maintained by the SSC for any source of income, and the SSC offers no explanation about the nature.
Sorry, sir, একটু question ছিল। Bullion, what is mean bullion, sir? Actually,
bullion bar, gold bar. What
What
is
is it?
found in the central bank of the country.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay, so the SSC might be in possession of bullion, jewelry, article, maybe diamond, maybe other precious stones, platinum, whatever it is. So he could be the owner of those stones or properties or any valuable article. It could be an artifact. Say, for example, the painting of a very famous painter of the world. So if there is a French painter or an Italian painter who has painted a very good artifact, in that case, it could be of immense value. So it could be sold out in the market at a very, very high price. Sometimes it's millions of dollars. Sometimes it's thousands of dollars, whatever it is. So it depends on the quality of the artifact or the reputation of the painter. So in that way, valuable articles are also very important for you to consider if somebody is in possession of that article. If you see that somebody has, Egyptian some ancient relics, if you find some ancient relics from Egypt, which has been collected by him, so that could be of great value to the SSC, because he could not procure it or he could not collect it with a very poor amount of money. It was not possible. So that's why it could be valued. And if you find somebody in possession of those, or whenever it has been recorded in the books of accounts of the SSC, maybe it has been recorded in the books of accounts of the SSC. So in the books of the accounts of the SSC means it could be mentioned or included in the statement of assets and liabilities. That means IT 10B. So if it is included there, the value has been recorded. But sometimes the value is not the correct figure. So if the DCT comes to know that this artifact or this precious stone is of higher value, in that case, he cannot accept it. Rather, he will look for the genuine price of that precious stone. So if he comes to know that the price of the precious stone is much higher, or somehow if he could find out the source of collecting that precious stone, and if he inquires into that supplier or shop, in that case, he would be able to know that this artifact is of this value or this precious stone is of this value. So if it is of higher value than the excess value, that means the value apart from the recorded value, the DCT will ask for the explanation of the source of that amount, excess value. So the SSC would have to answer that questions in writing. And if the answer to the query of the Deputy Commissioner of Taxes is not satisfactory in the eye of him, in that case, he can add that amount of money as income from other source under section 33, read with section 19(2). So
সরি স্যার একটু কোশ্চেন ছিল স্যার এখানে যদি স্যার যদি ক্যাশ চ্যানেলে হয় এই জুয়েলারি বিক্রিটা যদি ক্যাশের মাধ্যমে হয় তাহলে কি স্যার ডিসিটি ডিসঅ্যালাউ করবে ক্যাশের মাধ্যমে যদি হয় এই জুয়েলারি বিক্রিটা স্যার রসিদ দিল ক্যাশ চ্যানেলে হয় ক্যাশ রিসিভিং ক্যাশ
receiving cash, but
যদি সে হ্যাঁ জি জি
here it is said that he is in possession of a jewelry, precious stone, or any other valuable article. So he is in possession of that article or in possession of that asset. So he must have shown the value of the asset. So he has paid cash, of course, to that particular person from whom he purchased that. So if you say that, okay, this is a diamond necklace, which has been purchased at taka 50,000. So it depends on some, criteria. What are the criteria? If the criteria is like that, the diamond is from South Africa and the diamond is solitaire. So you understand what is solitaire diamond?
No sir.
Okay. Solitaire diamond is just one piece, but sometimes you will see
Understand.
Hundreds of pieces are there, small particles of diamond are there. So whenever it's a solitaire, it means that it is of course more pricey. But if it is not solitaire, maybe several pieces of diamonds are joined together. In that case, this is not that pricey. So depends what he has bought. Or he has shown the value at taka 50,000, as I mentioned to you before. But if the receipt is somehow found by the Deputy Commissioner of Taxes that he has bought the diamond from the diamond world on that date or in this month, so it was sold out at taka this, not at taka 50,000, rather it was sold at taka 1,50,000. So in that case, what would happen? The excess money is there, and the DCT will ask for an explanation for another 1 lakh taka, which is not shown by the SSC. So something like that. But if the DCC accepts it, nothing is found out, then it's a different issue. He will accept it. Whatever has been shown by the SSC, he will accept it. So there is no question at all. So I think this is the way how we have to deal with this. So any confusion with regard to that?
No sir.
But you mentioned about the cash sale, something like that. So what you actually meant by that? Sale is not mentioned here because the SSC is in possession of an article or jewelry, etc. So he has bought it in cash, or he has bought it through check, whatever it is. So that's a different thing. But if he shows that he has sold it out, he was in possession of an article, now he has sold it out, That is also different issue, not comes under this purview. That is 19.2 is not the appropriate section for that to deal with.
স্যার একটু সরি স্যার বলতে চাচ্ছিলাম অনেকে স্যার ব্ল্যাক মানি কি এখানে এই সেকশনের মাধ্যমে হোয়াইট করে নেয় যে 50 ভরি স্বর্ণ বিক্রি করে টাকাটা সে ইতে নিয়ে নেয় ফাইলে শো করে রাখে টাকাটা এখান থেকে অনেকটা ক্যাশ করে করে নেয় স্যার অনেকে এসএসসি করে স্যার এটা এরকম 50-60 ভরি স্বর্ণ ফাইলে দেখাই রাখে পরে ক্যাশ করে এটাকে করে নেয় স্যার ফাইলে শো করে নেয় মানে টাকাটাকে সে হোয়াইট করে নেয়
I understand what you mean, and this is common, of course.
জি স্যার
What you have said is correct.
অনেকেই স্যার এটা করে স্যার এটাতে কমন অ্যাফেয়ার জি স্যার
So what will you do? Think that you are a deputy commissioner of taxes and one SSC, he has shown a jewelry, maybe 50 tolas of gold or 50 bhoris of gold or 100 tolas of gold, whatever it is. He mentioned
160 minimum sir erokom.
Okay, very good.
Yes, sir.
So showed 100 tolas of gold, say for example. Let us suppose this is okay. So what he will say? He will say or she will say that I actually got all this jewelry on the occasion of my marriage ceremony, my birthday celebration, or on the occasion of the birthday of my children, etc., etc. Or on the marriage ceremony, my husband gave some gold to me, etc. So there are 100 tolas of gold. But about the value, nothing will be mentioned there. Because
unknown, value unknown আমরা শো করি
unknown, that means this is not known to her. Somebody made a gift of the jewelry to her, then it is not possible for her to understand what the value was actually. So that's why it has been mentioned that value is unknown. So it's okay. When you have received a gift, you cannot value it. But whenever, as you said, that it has been sold out after a few years, and she showed a receipt of taka, say 2 lakhs or 3 lakhs or 4 lakhs, etc., by selling that amount of gold to a particular trader. So the name of the trader must be mentioned by the SSC, and she has to submit a receipt. Whenever a receipt will be produced before the Deputy Commissioner of Taxes that I sold out my jewelry to somebody, to some trader. So now the function of the Deputy Commissioner of Taxes is to verify it. That means he can send his inspector of taxes to that shop in order to see whether that amount of gold was sold to that gentleman. And in that case, it could not be accepted by the Deputy Commissioner of Taxes. That's
স্যার অনেক সময় বুকস অফ অ্যাকাউন্টও চেক করে জুয়েলারি অ্যাকাউন্টস এর ইন্সপেক্টর যে স্যার বুকস অফ অ্যাকাউন্টও চেক করে অনেক সময় 30 লাখ বা 40 লাখ হলে তাদের স্যার বুকস অফ অ্যাকাউন্টও চেক করে ওই জুয়েলারির স্যার ওই জুয়েলারির বুকস অফ অ্যাকাউন্ট যেটা আপনার এই যে এটা মানি রিসিট দিবেন আপনার এটা ব্যালেন্সে যে ছিল এটা চেক করে বুকস ক্যাশ বুক চেক করে তাদের রিসিভ পেমেন্ট চেক করে স্যার ইন্সপেক্টর স্যার.
Yes, how much gold he has actually procured during a month, and how much has been sold out, the quantity of the gold he was possessing at a particular point of time, and afterwards how much was sold out. Nowadays, as the gold policy has been introduced by the government, it is a little bit difficult for the traders, gold traders, to purchase old gold, because the gold policy says that gold could be imported, that is, the bar could be imported from other countries, and there are particular traders who can do it. So they are actually authorized and registered by the central bank of the country. some banks and some individuals are registered to import gold bar, and gold bar could be used in making jewelry. So whenever a person is importing gold bar from other countries, he has got the quantity of gold, that is the stock of gold he has. And whenever he is supplying the gold to other traders, it is upon requisition. That means the other traders, small traders, they will actually submit a requisition to that registered importer, and the importer can give a certain amount of gold to him. So in that way, the quantity of gold that is entering into the country is calculated, determined, or it could be said how much gold has come into the country during a month or during the year. And apart from that, the traders are also purchasing gold from customers who are selling their gold. It's not actually controlled by income tax authority, but it is controlled by the VAT authority. And they are observing or monitoring the gold traders. That means ornament manufacturers. So whatever you have said, yes, income tax inspector can also see the books of accounts, how much gold they purchased, how much gold they sold. And whenever gold is purchased by them, it is in certain quantities, and there is a deduction of alloy. And whenever they are selling the product, of course, in selling the product, they include some alloy. So that percentage, which is 12.5%, I think 12.5%, that is, of course, standard. And in that standard, they can also earn a profit. The price which is being sold at, that is the figure, but still then you can also see what is the alloy that has been used in the jewelry. That is also a source of income of the traders. Is it okay, or any other question you have?
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Okay. No, sir. Okay, sir.
All right. Then you can have a look at the gold policy.
Okay, sir.
It is in the market. You can have a look.
Yes,
That
sir.
was
Okay, sir.
formulated by the Ministry of Commerce. Okay, then let us move to section 19.3. Section 19.3 says, where in any income year the assessee has incurred any expenditure and he offers no explanation about the nature and source of the money for such expenditure, or the explanation offered is not, in the opinion of the Deputy Commissioner of Taxes, satisfactory, the amount of the expenditure shall be deemed to be the income of the assessee for such income year classifiable under the head income from other sources. Now, how to calculate this, or how to determine the expenditure that has been incurred by the assessee? If you look at the statement of assets and liabilities, or IT 10B, you will be able to see that there has been an expenditure shown by the assessee for the whole year. So that expenditure includes his food, his accommodation, his conveyance, his medical expenses, expenses for the education of his children, etc. Also, it could be other expenses like participating in some social functions, etc., and giving gifts. That would include the whole of the expenditure shown by the assessee. So If the expenditure has been covered by the income he has earned during the income year, it is okay. Then there is no question to be asked by the Deputy Commissioner of Taxes. But somehow or other, if it is found out that an expenditure has been incurred by the SSC, but that was not shown in the statement of assets and liabilities, or expenditure was shown, but it did not include everything. That means additional expenditure might have incurred. So what could be the additional expenditure? The SSC has been showing his annual expenditure for livelihood at taka 4 lakhs per year or 5 lakhs per year. But it has been shown maybe for the last 3-4 years. But in a particular year, the city comes to know that the SSC hosted a reception on the occasion of his daughter's marriage ceremony. And that occasion actually cost him around 1 lakh taka or 2 lakh taka. If it costs 2 lakh taka extra, in that case, the expenditure he has been showing for the last 3-4 years should not be the same amount of money. It should be a little bit different. And of course, there should be an additional expenditure, which should have been shown by the SSC. So the DCT in such case may ask for an explanation as to the nature and source of the income. If the SSC has got certain sufficient income in his hand to cover the expenditure, it will be accepted by the Deputy Commissioner of Taxes. But if not, in that case, the Deputy Commissioner of Taxes would add that income to the total income calculated by him as income from other source. So could be like that. Or even if the SSC has shown that expenditure, as I said, the expenditure for hosting the reception. Let us suppose he showed the expenditure at taka 1 lakh, but the DCT comes to know that the venue rent was even more than that. Venue rent was 1,50,000. So it should not be accepted by him. In that case, he will definitely ask for the explanation of the additional money incurred or expended by the SSC. So I believe this is also okay for you.
Sir, একটু share করতেছিলাম. In this regard, car is available in our country. যে more amount এ গাড়ি কিনে, অনেক বেশি দামে গাড়ি কিনে, অথচ শো করে কম টাকায়। অনেক ব্যবসায়ী স্যার। হ্যাঁ। অনেক ব্যবসায়ী অনেক টাকা দামের গাড়ি কিনে কম ভ্যালুতে শো করে। এখানে এইতে স্যার এই ডিসিটি এই জিনিসগুলো বেশি ধরে স্যার এখন বর্তমানে।
That is okay, because if the value of a Mercedes Benz in Bangladesh has been shown at 2 lakh taka,
15
it
crore
cannot be accepted. So even the price of the Toyota, BMW is also there. Mercedes Benz is there.
আরো এর সাথে অনেক স্যার যে আরো নতুন নতুন যে ব্র্যান্ড স্যার সবগুলোই স্যার এরকম অনেকে কেনে অথচ কম মূল্যে শো করে এগুলো ধরে স্যার।
I have a question regarding this, sir.
Okay.
হায়ার গাড়ি।
Sir, why does the expense has to be equal to my income? Because I can do my expense from, if I borrow from somewhere, I can cover my expenses from there.
No, I haven't said like that. Yes, whatever you have said is that you should not cover the expenses from your income only. Your income may not cover the whole of the expenditure you incurred during a year. So that's why the explanation will be asked by the Deputy Commissioner of Taxes. And if you can explain it, then he will ask, how did you get that money? Where did you get that money from? So it is the nature, and it is also the source of income. So nature means what is the income coming from? That means, is it coming from your business, or is it coming from as a loan, or is it coming from somebody as a gift, or is it coming from somebody as an advance? So that is there. So if the SSC explains it in that way, that I have received a gift from my brother who is staying in the USA, and he has sent that money to me as a gift, so definitely he should just give a supporting to the Deputy Commissioner of Taxes in this regard. So if the explanation is satisfactory, as has been said here in its subsection, it will be accepted by the Deputy Commissioner of Taxes. There is no problem with that.
Thank you, sir.
So it does not mean that you have to cover the expenditure with your income. No, it's not. Okay, then let us move to section 19.4. It has been said, where in the financial year immediately preceding the assessment year, the SSC has made investments which are not recorded in the books of accounts, if any, maintained by him for any source of income, and the SSC offers no explanation about the nature and source of fund for the investments, or the explanation offered is not, in the opinion of the Deputy Commissioner of Taxes, satisfactory, the value of such investment shall be deemed to be the income of the SSC for such financial year, classifiable under the head income from other sources. So it is almost the same thing, but here it has been said that the SSC has made an investment, but he did not show it. He has not shown it in the wealth statement. In that case, what happens? That is, an SSC has purchased a flat at Taka 2 crores, but he has not shown it in the statement of assets and liabilities. So afterwards, from any information, the DCT comes to know that this gentleman is owning that apartment in that area, and he purchased that apartment from the Navana Limited at an amount of Taka so and so. So if it is so, in that case, what he will do, he will ask for the explanation of the source of that income or nature of that income. And if the SSC offers the explanation in a satisfactory way and the DCT is convinced, in that case, he will accept it. But if he is not convinced, then he will just treat this expenditure as income under section 33, right, with section 19.4. So that's the case here. The SSC has not shown it himself. Rather, it has been found out by an inspector of taxes, or found out by another Deputy Commissioner of Taxes who came to know about the owning of the property and sent an information slip to his colleague. So you should know that information slips are moving from one circle to another circle. And in that way, some information is also leaked out. And it is spread among the Deputy Commissioners of Taxes. Okay.
স্যার একটা কোশ্চেন ছিল।
Yes.
স্যার একটা কোশ্চেন ছিল যে ডিসিটি যত ডিজেলাও করে সব সেকশন 30 কেন হয়? 30 সেকশনে কেন ডিজেলাও করে? সবগুলা ডিজেলাও গুলো কেন সেকশন 30 হয়? স্যার একটু বলবেন?
It's because of the reason that you have to go by the income tax ordinance. So why income is calculated from business under section 28? And why income from profession is also calculated under section 28? Why? Because this section is specific for calculating income from business or income from profession. So that's why you have to calculate the income from business under section 28. It is a must. You cannot calculate it under section 21 because 21 is specific for salaries and wages. You cannot do it under section 26 because This section is for agricultural income calculation.
Okay, sir.
So that is the specific section. And section 29, what this section says? It says that all these allowable expenditures are mentioned here. That means what type of expenditure would be allowed, what you can deduct from the gross profit of the business. All are mentioned here under section 29. And then under section 30, it has been mentioned which will be disallowed. So that's why the city has to do it under section 30. You cannot do it in any other section because he is a quasi-judicial
আমাকে
official.
একজন কোশ্চেন করেছিল স্যার এটাই আর কি।
No, the question is this, very simple.
জি স্যার, ওকে স্যার।
You have to
সেকশন তো
answer it.
অনেকগুলোই আছে, সেকশন তো অনেকগুলোই আছে, শুধু একটা সেকশনে কেন ডিসঅ্যালাউ করে?
No, that is the section for disallowance.
ও আচ্ছা, পাওয়ার অফ
Yes,
কোয়ারি জুডিশিয়াল।
Quasi-judicial.
ওকে স্যার, কোয়ারি জুডিশিয়াল। ওকে স্যার।
Okay. Then let us move to section 1915, where in the financial year immediately preceding the assessment year, the assessee is found to be the owner of any money, bullion, jewelry, or other valuable article which is not recorded in the books of accounts, if any, maintained by him for any source of income, and the assessee offers no explanation about the nature and source of fund for the acquisition of the money, bullion, jewelry, or other valuable article, or the explanation offered is not, in the opinion of the Deputy Commissioner of Taxes, satisfactory, the money or the value of the bullion, jewelry, or other valuable articles shall be deemed to be the income of the assessee for such financial year, classifiable under the head income from business. So the things are, of course, very transparent. If you are in possession of a bullion, jewelry, or valuable article, or of money, so anything you may be in possession of, but you have not shown it. In the statement of assets and liabilities, nothing has been shown, but you are in possession of that. And the city comes to know that you had bullion. That means you purchased bullion from the Bangladesh Bank or from any other source, or you purchased jewelry, very valuable jewelry you purchased. And if it is known to him, in that case, he can, of course, ask for the source of the income you spent in acquiring that jewelry or that bullion. Or if the money is found out in your possession, he can, of course, ask you that this money has been found in your possession. It is in the bank account. That means in a separate bank account. You did not show it in your statement of accounts or in the wealth statement. So since you are in possession of that bank account, this is your money. It is not somebody else's money. So that's why you have to give me the explanation as to the nature and source of that money you are possessing right at this moment. And the assessee is bound to give him an explanation. And if the explanation is okay, that is convincing, in that case, he will accept it. If it is not convincing, then he will definitely add this income as part of the total income under section 33, that means income from other sources, and read with section 19(5). Okay. Let us move to another subsection 19(6). This is any income derived by an assessee in any income year from any business or profession which has been or was discontinued at any time before the commencement or during the course of the said income year shall, if such income would have been chargeable to tax if it had been received in the income year in which it accrued or arose, the deemed to be income chargeable through tax from such business or profession which shall, for the purpose of this ordinance, be deemed to have been carried on before the commencement or during the course of the said income year. Language has been made a little bit difficult, but actually this is not that difficult. The simple thing is that whenever a business has been discontinued before the commencement of the income year or during the course of the commencement year, commencement of the income year, whatever it is, the income of the SSC, that means income from the business, has to be calculated by the Deputy Commissioner of Taxes as usual. Meaning that if you continued your business previously, now you've discontinued, but the city will treat it as has been continued, and he will treat the income of the income year as it was calculated before. But here, the most important thing for you to understand is that whenever the client comes to you and seeks advice from you, that I want to discontinue my business or close down my business, what should I do? I have actually carried on my business for the first 3 months of the income year. Now I want to discontinue it. And then your advice should be that you write a letter or a letter of intimation and submit it to the Deputy Commissioner of Taxes stating that you are discontinuing your business. If you do not write this letter to the Deputy Commissioner of Taxes at the end of the income year, he will calculate the income of your business for the whole year on the basis of the past record. And now, if you write this letter to the Deputy Commissioner of Taxes, he will take it into account while calculating the income for the income year. How would he do it? You will mention a date that from that date my business will discontinue or I will close down my business. And after that date, the Deputy Commissioner would send his Inspector of Taxes to the place of the business. And it is his responsibility to verify whether the business has actually been closed down or not. So the Inspector of Taxes will go to the place of the business and ask the people around. And if it is found out by the Inspector of Taxes that, okay, this has been closed down because of some reasons specific to that SSC, in that case, he will write an inspection report to the Deputy Commissioner of Taxes saying that this business has been closed down, and the people around, they have also said like that. And the Deputy Commissioner of Taxes would record it. And afterwards, what he will do, maybe after a few months or at the fag end of the income year, he will again send the Inspector of Taxes to the place of the business in order to see whether the declaration made by the SSC of closing down the business is okay or not, whether the business now being continued or not, it is still closed. So that report could also go to the Deputy Commissioner of Taxes. In that case, the city would be able to calculate the income of the SSC in such a way that it will represent only 3 months of doing business. In that case, it might be a non-taxable income. So that is the whole thing relating to this subsection. And it is not mentioned, whatever I have said to you now, it is not actually mentioned in the subsection, but that is the practical situation and how to deal with that you should know. It is advisable to you that whenever such a client comes to you, you advise him to write a letter like that, and you can also draft it on his behalf and present it before the Deputy Commissioner of Taxes in order to save the SSC. It's okay.
So later দিয়ে জানানো কি 90 days স্যার 90 days আগে জানাতে হবে?
No.
90 days আগে।
Not that. It was just an example. Whenever you want to decide to close down the business, that I have decided to close down the business from the first day of September, maybe. So I will let it know to the Deputy Commissioner of Taxes beforehand that I closed down. And Deputy Commissioner of Taxes, he will check it or verify it after the first day of September, as you have said that the business will be closed down from the 1st of September. So maybe in the month of September, anytime, the Inspector of Taxes will go to that place, and in order to see whether the shop is closed or not. And he will also ask the people around whether this business has been closed down. And of course, there would be a version from the people around. So another thing I have said is that since the business has been closed down from the 1st of September, so what is the end of the income year? The income year will end on the 30th day of June next year. So in that case, the DCT can also send the Inspector of Taxes maybe at the beginning of June or at the end of May in order to see whether this business is still closed or not. So if he sees that the business has been closed, so he can deduct that the whole period of the income year was free from business of that SSC. That means the SSC did not do any business during that income year, except the first 3 months, what he mentioned. So then he will calculate the income for the period the SSC actually said before the closure of the business, the period before the closure of the business. For that period only, the income will be calculated. And as I said, that for that period, maybe the income would be non-taxable. That is what I have said. Then come to section 19.7. Any dividend declared or distributed by a company shall be deemed to be the income of the income year in which it is received and shall be included in the total income of the SSC for that year. So dividend is declared by a company, of course, in the annual general meeting, as you know, and it is also distributed afterwards through the issuance of dividend warrant. So whenever dividend warrant is issued or dividend is declared in the annual general meeting, you cannot say that the dividend has been received by the SSC, because he may not have received it during that time. It is declared, but it could be paid later on, or it has been distributed maybe in the form of dividend warrant. So dividend warrant he has received maybe sometime after the annual general meeting, but he has not actually deposited the dividend warrant into the bank, because there is a period by which you have to submit it, maybe 6 months. So during that period, he can submit the dividend warrant to the bank. That means into his account. So the income would be treated as has been received by the SSC. When you will receive it, means when the dividend will be credited in the account of the SSC or in the bank account of the SSC. So that's the thing. Sometimes it will happen like that the income year is gone and dividend warrant was received by the SSC, and then it was deposited into the bank, and by that time it was another income year. So whenever it has been received by the SSC, income will be of that year. Okay, then section 19, subsection 8. Where any assets not being stock in trade are purchased by an SSC from any company, and the Deputy Commissioner of Taxes has reason to believe that the price paid by the SSC is less than the fair market value thereof, the difference between the price to be paid and the fair market value shall be deemed to be the income of the SSC classifiable under the head income from other sources. So, being an SSC, you can purchase some assets from a company, but it should not be stock in trade. Stock in trade is not an asset, rather it is an asset, of course, but this is something different which will not be taken into account. So stock in trade you are buying in order to resell it in future, maybe. So that's why these are goods which you are trading in, and you can purchase the goods from a company and then sell it out to others. So that's different issue, but it is not indicating to stock in trade. Rather, this is something as an asset. You are purchasing a plant from a company, or that plant is purchased at a price which is not actually the fair market value price. So whenever such an asset is purchased by you, a plant, machinery, equipment, etc., and you are showing a price which is not actually equal to the fair market value of that property or asset, in that case, the DCT will calculate the difference between the fair market value of that plant or equipment and the value you have shown. So there might be a difference between the two since we have shown a lower value. So the difference figure would be added to the income of the SSC as income from other sources under section 33, read with section 19. 8. So that is what has been said here. Okay, then section 19.9. This is important for you to know or remember, because where any lump sum amount is received or receivable by an SSC during any income year on account of salami or premium by virtue of any lease, such amount shall be deemed to be the income of the SSC of the income year in which it is received and classifiable under the head income from other sources, provided that at the option of the SSC, such amount may be allocated for the purpose of assessment proportionately to the years covered by the entire lease period, and such allowances shall in no case exceed 5 years. So this is actually related to house property income. It might be a residential house property or it might be a commercial house property, whatever it is, but effect is the same. Here you are receiving a lump amount, salami money or premium money. Salami money, that should be in addition to the rental income. So you have reached an agreement with the tenant saying that the tenant will give you or pay you 50,000 taka per month as the rental value of your property. So the annual value of the property would be 6 lakh taka. So this agreement has been signed between yourself and the tenant, but at the time of signing the agreement, you have received a salami money of taka 20 lakhs. Especially it happens in case of people who have let out their shops to the tenants. So this is the value for the possession that has been given to the tenants. So as a price of the possession he has received from you, he is paying you taka 20 lakhs. So in such a case, taka 20 lakhs would be treated as income from other sources by the Deputy Commissioner of Taxes. But the SC can say that, okay, I have received 20 lakhs taka, and please allocate this amount proportionately to the 5 years of lease, as I have reached an agreement for 5 years. So each year, this amount would be assessed to tax at the rate of 4 lakhs. That is, each year 4 lakhs taka would be added as income. And at the end of the 5th year, the 20 lakhs taka will be covered. So each year, taka 4 lakhs will be assessed to tax. So in that way, the burden of tax would be a little bit less. So that's why the legal provision is like that. And if your agreement is for a period of 7 years, you cannot ask the city to allocate that amount of money for the 7-year period. You cannot do that because the maximum period that the money could be proportionately allocated is 5 years. So it should be limited to 5 years. Okay, then let us go to section 1910. Where any amount is received by an SSC during the income year by way of goodwill money or receipt in the nature of compensation or damages for cancellation or termination of contracts and licenses by the government or any person, such amount shall be deemed to be the income of such SSC for that income year, classifiable under the head income from other sources. So what happens is that you have received a goodwill money or a compensation money. So why is the goodwill money or compensation money for? It is because of the termination of contracts and licenses or damage caused to you. Maybe we can cite an example. You are a trader or distributor, I should say, distributor of the Trading Corporation of Bangladesh. And the Trading Corporation of Bangladesh has given you distributorship to distribute the products of the TCP in 3 districts of Bangladesh. So you have the jurisdiction of distribution in 3 districts. So whenever you receive the goods from the Trading Corporation of Bangladesh, you are distributing the products in those 3 districts. If the Trading Corporation of Bangladesh thinks that they will limit the number of distributors, maybe they have got 64 distributors, now they will reduce it to 40 or 45, whatever it is. So in that case, you may lose your license or distributorship. So if you lose your license or distributorship of distributing the products of the TCB, TCB can pay you a compensation money. If the TCB pays you a compensation money of 10 lakhs taka for the damages it has caused to you or for suffering the loss, in that case, this amount would be treated as your income. And how would you be treated for this income? It will be treated as your income from other sources under section 33. So this amount, whenever you get from any company, from any distributor or from the government, for such cases as curtailment of the licenses curtailment of your distributorship, agency, etc., etc. So if you receive some compensation money, that compensation money would be treated as your income. Then come to the point 1911, where any benefit or advantage, whether convertible into money or not, is derived by an SSC during an income year on account of cancellation of indebtedness. The money value of such advantage or benefit shall be deemed to be his income for the income year, classifiable under the head income from other sources. So first of all, we go by phases. First phase is this. That means your indebtedness is there. So what do you understand by indebtedness? Of course, the amount you are owing to somebody, that is your indebtedness. So how do you show it in the balance sheet? Definitely you show it in the form of creditors, maybe bills payable, sundry creditors, etc., etc. In some form, you show it. So if you are owing to somebody, and maybe after a few years, he's saying that, okay, you owe me taka 5 lakhs, but I do not want it from you now. You don't have to pay it off. I understand that you have got some problems and you are not being able to pay it off, and that's why you should not pay it off. I do not have the claim on that liability. So in that case, your indebtedness is no longer there. If you are not indebted to that person, so this is a benefit, because 5 lakhs taka you had to pay, but now you are not liable to pay that amount of money. In that case, you are exempted from making the payment of that amount of money, and this has become your profit or income. So if such an income arises, in that case, it will be treated as an income from other sources. So that should be under section 33 read with section 1911. But something has been said here, provided that the provision of this subsection shall not apply in case of a loan or interest waived in respect of an SSC by a commercial bank, including Bangladesh Krishi Bank, Rajshahi Krishi Unnayan Bank, Bangladesh Development Bank, or a leasing company, or a financial institution registered under the Financial Institutions Act 1993. So, as we have said before, that if your indebtedness has been exempted by somebody, you have got an income, and this will be assessed to tax. But if such exemption comes or waiver comes from a commercial bank or Bangladesh Krishi Bank or Bangladesh Rajshahi Krishi Unnayan Bank or Bangladesh Development Bank or any financial institution which are registered under the Financial Institutions Act 1993, in such situations, this will not be treated as your income. And it has also been said, provided further, that the provisions of this subsection shall not apply in case of a benefit or advantage of an SSC being an individual, not exceeding taka 10 lakh, resulting from the waiver of margin loan or interest thereof by a holder of trading right entitlement certificate as defined under Exchanges Demutualization Act 2013 in respect of the SSA's investment in shares, debentures, mutual funds, or other securities transacted in the stock exchange. This is not very usual. Sometimes you will see some people are doing business in stocks and shares of the Dhaka Stock Exchange or Chittagong Stock Exchange, and they have got a BO account, and through the BO account they are purchasing shares and selling shares, etc. Sometimes they have got margin loan from them. So during the course of the transaction, if a margin loan which has been waived up to 10 lakh, in that case, it will not be treated as income under section 33, right, with section 1911. So that is also exempted up to that amount, but not full amount. But if the loan is bigger, in that case, it will not be exempted, the full amount. Next, come to 1912. If you need any break, you tell me. Section 19, subsection 12 says, any managing agency commission, including compensation received during any income year by an SSC for termination of agencies or any modification of the terms of conditions relating thereto shall be deemed to be his income for the income year, classifiable under the head income from other sources. So here, managing agency commission, if you are a managing agent on behalf of a company, and if you are receiving commission from that company, and afterwards, for any reason, there are some changes or modifications in the contract, or your agency is terminated for some reason or other, and if you receive some compensation money from that company for that purpose, in that case, your income would be treated under section 33, read with section 1912. Income, that means the compensation money would be treated as income, and that should be assessed to tax by the Deputy Commissioner of Taxes once you receive it from that company in the form of compensation. Uh, 1913, any amount received by an SSC during any income year by way of winnings from lotteries, crossword puzzles, card games, or other games of any sort, or from gambling or betting in any form, or of any nature whatsoever, shall be deemed to be his income for that income year, classifiable under the head income from other sources. So this is also one interesting subsection. Whenever you win lotteries, maybe you are buying lotteries from a company. That means you will find some of the companies are offering lotteries for raising funds. Maybe Diabetic Association of Bangladesh, or Diabetic Hospital Bardem, or maybe Shishu Academy. Sometimes they also issue lotteries. And if you buy the lotteries and participate in the competition of winning the prize, so they are raising capital, of course, but still they have decided to provide some prizes to some of the winners, maybe first prize, second prize, third prize, etc. So if you receive one of the prizes, of course, that prize money would be treated as income. So that would be treated as income under section 33, right, with section 1912. 12, sorry, 13. And if you receive some money from crossword puzzles or from card games, that is, you can play at cards with a condition among the partners that if somebody wins it, in that case, you paid some money. And if an amount is actually received by him, in that case, he is liable to pay taxes. And that would be assessed to income under section 33. Again, if you go to the casino, you can earn some money. If you stay there for the whole night or some hours of a night, in that case, you can receive some money from there. And that money would also be assessed to tax. And that is also fall. That will also fall under this subsection. Sometimes there are bettings which are taking place in the course of different games or matches, etc., cricket match, football match, etc. So if I bet with you that this particular team will win, and if this team wins, you will pay me 50,000 taka or 1 lakh taka. But if it loses, then I will pay you 1 lakh taka or 50,000 taka. If such a betting is there, in that case, of course, the betting money that you have received would be treated as income from other source under section 33. So many bettings are there. And you will see, of course, horses riding or camels riding, etc. Those are also come under the purview of, betting. Okay, then 1914, any profits and gains derived in any income year from any business of insurance carried on by a mutual insurance association computed in accordance with the provisions of paragraph 8 of the 4th schedule shall be deemed to be the income of such association for that income year. This is also not very usual because this is relating to the income of an insurance association. So there is an insurance association, of course, maybe life insurance companies association or general insurance companies association, etc. So if there is an income of that association to be calculated under paragraph 8 of the 4th schedule of the income tax ordinance 1984, that would also be treated as income of the income year. 1915, it is a little bit important for you because this is with regard to calculation of income under section 28, and that is the business income or professional income, etc. And there could be some expenses which have been allowed under section 29. And later on, the situation may be different. What is said here, where for the purpose of computation of income of an SSE under section 28, any deduction has been made for any year in respect of any loss, bad debt, expenditure, or trading liability incurred by the SSE. So you are going to determine the income of a business. And in that case, you see that there has been a loss, bad debt, or any expenditure trading liability incurred by the SSE. So for example, the loss has been shown or bad debt has been shown in the profit and loss account by the SSE. And this has been accepted by the Deputy Commissioner of Taxes because the Deputy Commissioner of Taxes would allow the expenditure under section 29. So these are actually expenditures to fall under section 29. So bad debt, it is accepted by the Deputy Commissioner of Taxes. So what happens? What is the consequence or effect? The consequence is that whenever bad debt has been accepted by the Deputy Commissioner of Taxes, the net profit has been decreased up to that extent. That is, from the gross profit, bad debt has been deducted, and then net profit has been arrived at. So in that way, it is very much understandable that the profit was decreased. However, this is an allowable expenditure, and hence, if it is received back by the SSC in future, that means I thought that I would not be realizing that amount from my debtors, and that's why I have created the bad debt. First, I created the bad and doubtful debt, then I created bad debt. So, if it is received back by the SSC in future, in that case, it would be treated as income again. So that's why it has been said subsequently during an income year, the SSC has received except as provided in clause AA, whether in cash or any other manner whatsoever, any amount in respect of such loss, bad debt, or expenditure, the amount so received shall be deemed to be his income from business or profession during that income year. So 15AA we will be discussing just next. But however, the condition is this, that whenever such a loss has been allowed and later on it has been received back by the SSC, it will be treated as income. So this is as simple as that. Now, 15 AA is such amount on account of interest which was to have been paid to any commercial bank or the Bangladesh Development Bank, or on account of any share of profit which was to have been paid to any bank run on Islamic principles and which was allowed as a deduction in respect of such expenditure, though such interest or share of profit was not paid by the reason of the SSC having maintained his accounts on mercantile basis within 3 years from the expiry of the income year in which it was allowed, shall, to such extent as it remains unpaid, be deemed to be the income of the SSC from the business or profession during the income year, immediately following the expiry of the said 3 years. Although the clause is a little bit lengthy, but gist of the clause is very simple. What is that? It has been said that the method of accounting you have followed, how you have maintained the accounts. You have followed the accounts whether under mercantile basis of accounting or accrual basis of accounting or cash basis of accounting, whatever it is. Whenever you have maintained the accounts under the mercantile basis, it means that the transactions which have been made on credit were also taken into account, meaning that you have borrowed a loan from the bank and interest has been accrued. That means whenever you have crossed 1 year, the bank will charge interest at a certain percentage. Now, you may have paid it off or you may not have paid it off. That's a different thing. If you have not paid it off, it indicates that it will still be treated as your expenditure. That means it will be shown in the profit and loss account. And this will be deducted from the gross profit, and which will also be accepted by the Deputy Commissioner of Taxes. But question is, it applies to banks, commercial banks maybe, whenever you are taking loan from them, or it could be from the banks run on Islamic principles. That means the Islamic banks, they do not charge interest, rather they charge services or share of profit, whatever it is. They pay share of profit and they charge services. So whatever it is, if you have to pay interest or if you have to pay services, you show it in the profit and loss account, and DCT accepts it. And by that way, your profit is reduced. Now, the law says that whenever such an expenditure has been accepted by the Deputy Commissioner of Taxes, that means you have allowed the expenditure in the income year, although you have not paid it off, but you should pay it off. When you should pay it off? Within 3 years' time from the expiry of the income year in which it was allowed. If you do not pay it off within 3 years' time from the end of the income year, in that case, it will be treated as income the following year. So in that case, the Deputy Commissioner of Taxes would treat it as income. So 3-year period you have to take into account. And if it is not paid within 3 years' time, then it should be treated as income. Then let us move to 1915B. The SEC has derived during an income year some benefit in respect of such trading liability. The value of such benefit, if it has not already been treated as income under clause C, shall be deemed to be the income from the business or profession during that income year. So it is not separate, it is also as similar as double A, clause double A. C, it is also related to that. Such trading liability or portion thereof as has not been paid within 3 years of the expiration of the income year in which deduction was made. In such liability or portion as the case may be shall be deemed to be the income of the SSC from business or profession during the income year immediately following the expiry of the said 3 years, and the business or profession in respect of which such allowance or deduction was made shall for the purposes of section 28 be deemed to be carried on by the SSC in that income year. So it is also the same in case of trading liability. Whenever you have not paid it off within 3 years' time, in that case, the following year, it will be treated as income, provided that where any interest or share of profit referred to in clause AA or a trading liability referred to in clause C is paid in a subsequent year, the amount so paid shall be deducted in computing the income in respect of that year. So the question generally arises that when the interest has not been paid off by the SSC within 3 years' time, then it has been treated as his income the following year. But in subsequent years, if the SSC has paid it off, that means he paid it off to the bank, the interest money he was owing to the bank. Now, what would be the consequence or what will be the effect? The effect will be whenever the SSC has paid it off in any subsequent year, it will be treated as a deduction while calculating income from the business under section 28. That means the year for which DCT will be calculating business income under section 28, in that year, this amount of money which has been paid by the SSC to the bank will be treated as a deductible expenditure. So it's the benefit that is being given to the SSC in this form.
sir, I have a question.
Yes, please.
This section is applicable both the SSC individual and company.
Yes, of course. It is applicable to both. Because an individual takes money from the bank as a loan or advance. Interest is accrued on that. At the same time, a company can also borrow money from the bank and interest will be accrued. And similar situation would be faced. Because if you say to an individual that if you do not pay your interest to the bank in 3 years' time, then it will be treated as your income. So this is a penalty. And if you say the company does not have to pay it off, so that is not actually fair. So in that case, you cannot allow a level playing field. In that case, the law will be applicable to the SSC. So SSC means you have to go to the definition of an SSC. SSC means an individual, a firm, a company, an association of persons, a Hindu undivided family. So all these will be treated as SSCs whenever it is applicable. And maybe the municipal corporation, it's also an SSC, of course. And if the municipal corporation is assessed by the city, and if it has got a liability to the bank, and interest is not paid off by the municipal corporation, what would happen? The same consequence it has to face. Now, section 1916, 1917, 1918, and 1919. These 4 subsections are more or less on the same footing. And please have a look at these 4 subsections, and we will discuss it quickly after a little break, maybe 10 minutes time. You have a look and then we discuss 1916, 1917, 1918, 1919. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Yes, Baba. What to be?
সারা আমাদের বিরোধী দিছে অন্য কোনো তগড়াই So we are here. Let us see 1916 now. It is said in this subsection that where any building, machinery or plant having been used by an SC for the purpose of any business or profession carried on by him is disposed of during any income year, and the sale proceed thereof exceeds the written down value, so much of the excess as does not exceed the difference between the original cost and the written down value shall be deemed to be the income of the SSC for that income year, classifiable under the head income from business or profession. So any plant, machinery, having been used for the purpose of business or profession is disposed of in any income year. And the sale proceed exceeds the written down value. In that case, so much of the excess that does not exceed the difference between the original cost and the written down value shall be treated as income from business or profession. So I have been using an asset, which may be a plant or a machinery, and I bought it at 1,000 maybe, for example. This is just an example. 1,000 taka. That was the acquisition price or original price, we can say. And I have used it for 5 years. And each year I have charged a depreciation of 10% on that value. That means 100 taka I have charged every year. And at the end of the 5th year, it was 500 taka. And the written down value was taka 500 because I charged depreciation of taka 500. And now I have sold it out. I have sold it out at taka, say for example, 1,200, because the price of the machinery has now gone in the market, and that's why even if it is the old machinery, its price is much higher than before. So that's why I have sold it at 1,200 taka. Written down value was taka 500. I charged depreciation for an amount of taka 500 for the 5 years. And in that case, I have to calculate the income from business. So if the sale proceeds exceeds the written down value, that would be the profit. So the sale proceed is taka 1,200 and written down value is taka 500. So the difference between the two is 700 taka. So this is the profit. But it has also been said that so much of the excess means when the sale proceed exceeds the written down value. So much of the excess as does not exceed the difference between the original cost and the written down value. Original cost is taka 1,000, as I said to you, and the written down value is taka 500. So the difference between the two is taka 500. So here the profit is taka 700, and so much of the excess as does not exceed the difference between the original cost and the written down value. That means this amount of taka 700, which is the profit, out of that 700 taka, 500 taka up to taka 500 taka, up to taka 500 would be treated as income from business or profession. So here the profit is 700, but taka 500 would be treated as income from business. What about the rest of taka 200? That is not said here, it is implied. This subsection does not say about that. So that taka 200, which is in excess of the business profit, would be treated as income from capital gain under section 31. And both the incomes, that means the business income or professional income, and the income from capital gain should be calculated by the DCT as per relevant sections. So relevant section is section 28 and section 31, but both of them should be read with section 1916. So that is all about section 1916. The original cost and the written down value shall be deemed to be the income of the SSC for that income year, classifiable under the head agricultural income. So generally, you know very well that agricultural income is calculated under section 26 of the IT Ordinance 1984. So the agricultural equipment that has been used by a farmer or an SSC, it could be a building, it could be a plant, it could be a machinery, maybe a harvesting machine, or maybe deep tube well, which has been used in watering the land, farmland. So all these are actually agricultural equipments. And if it is exclusively used for agricultural purposes by an SSC, and later on it is disposed of, in that case, the sale proceed, if it exceeds the written down value, the amount by which it exceeds the written down value is the profit. But one point to be remembered here, so much of the excess as does not exceed the difference between the original cost and the written down value shall be deemed income from agriculture under section 26. So similar situation may arise here. Let us suppose that the harvesting machine was purchased at 1,000 and straight line depreciation method has been used at the rate of 10% each year, which is 100 every year, and maybe it has been used for 5 years. So 500 taka has been used as depreciation, and now the written down value has stood at 500, and now the machinery has been sold out or disposed of at 1,200. So in that case, the profit is 700, but condition is that so much of the excess as does not exceed the difference between the original cost and the written down value shall be deemed as income from business. So the difference between original cost and written down value is 500. So out of the profit made by the SSC of 700, 500 would be treated as income from agriculture under section 26, and the rest amount, remaining amount of 200 would be treated as income under section 31, that is income from capital gains. But both of them are to be read with section 1917. And then come to section 1918. It is also more or less similar, but the reasons are different. Reasons are different means you have received a salvage money or compensation money or insurance money for an asset. So what is said here? Where any insurance, salvage or compensation money has been received in any income year in respect of any building, machinery or plant, which having been used by the SSE for the purpose of business or profession is discarded, demolished, or destroyed. And the amount of such monies exceed the written down value of such building, machinery, or plant. So much of the excess as does not exceed the difference between the original cost and the written down value, less the scrap value, shall be deemed to be the income of the SSE for that income year, classifiable under the head income from business or profession. So here, let us suppose your asset was insured with an insurance company for fire hazards or risk of fire or flood or earthquake, etc. Now fire has occurred and the plant or machinery has been destroyed. And as the plant or machinery was insured with the insurance company, so compensation money or the insurance money has been received by the SSE. And how to calculate the profit now, because this is not the sale price, rather it is the compensation money or rather the insurance money. So the amount which you have received as insurance money, if the amount received by you exceeds the written down value, then you have to take into account how the profit will be calculated. So here it is said, the language is a little bit different. The amount of such monies exceed the written down value of such building or machinery or plant. So much of the excess as does not exceed the difference between the original cost and the written down value less the scrap value. So here the profit will be calculated with that receipt of insurance money. So insurance money is taka 1200, as I said to you before in another example. And the depreciation, after charging depreciation, the written down value has come down to 500 taka. And the difference between the two, that is the amount you have received from the insurance company and the written down value is taka 700. But it has been said here that so much of the excess as does not exceed the difference between the original cost and the written down value less the scrap value. So the original cost is taka 1000, written down value is taka 500. And scrap value, if there is nothing, no problem. So up to taka 500, it would be business profit. And the remaining amount is taka, which is taka 200, would be treated as income from capital gains. But if there is any scrap value, then you have to consider it. That is so much of the excess as does not exceed the difference between the original cost and the written down value less the scrap value. So the written down value is 500 taka. If the scrap value is 100 taka, then you have to deduct 100 taka from 500 taka. That means 400 taka. And original cost is 1000 taka. So difference between the two would be 600 taka. So 600 taka would be treated 600 taka out of 700 taka would be treated as business income and 100 taka would be treated as capital gain. So this is like that. 1918 and 1919 is also similar, but that applies to the agricultural sector only. That means we have to calculate the agricultural income under section 26. And it is also said that where any insurance, salvage or compensation monies are received in any income year in respect of any machinery or plant, which having been used by the SSC exclusively for the purpose of agriculture is discarded, demolished, or destroyed, and the amount of such monies exceed the written down value of such machinery or plant, so much of the excess as does not exceed the difference between the original cost and the written down value, less the scrap value, shall be deemed to be the income of the SSC for that income year, classifiable under the head agricultural income. So similar case, compensation money or salvage money or insurance money you have received as it was insured with the insurance company for any fire hazard or flood or earthquake, etc. And now, since the asset has been demolished or destroyed, you have received a compensation money or insurance money from the insurance company, and you have to see what amount you have received and what is the difference between the written down value and the money received by you. It would be your profit. However, so much of the excess as it does not exceed the difference between the original cost and the written down value less the scrap value, if there is any, would be the business income, and the rest amount or remaining amount would become the capital gain. So same formula you can apply and the same amount you can apply, and you can see that one would be agricultural income, another would be income from capital gain. And both of them are actually read with section 1919. That should be written in the assessment order to be framed by the Deputy Commissioner of Taxes. Okay, then maybe 1920, where an asset representing expenditure of a capital nature on scientific research within the meaning of section 29(1)(12) is disposed of during any income year, so much of the sale proceeds as it does not exceed the amount of the expenditure allowed under the said clause shall be deemed to be the income of the SSC for that income year, classifiable under the head income from business or profession. Sometimes, capital expenditure is allowed under section 29. It is because of scientific purposes or research. So if such an expenditure is allowed under section 29, so section 29 means 29(1) and 10, 29(1) Roman 10. So under that section, a scientific expenditure could be allowed as against the profit, that is the gross profit, in order to arrive at the net profit. And in that case, afterwards, if it is disposed of, that is the equipment which has been used for scientific purposes, but it was really a capital expenditure, and now it is being disposed of by the SSC. And in such situation, if the sale proceed as does not exceed the amount of that expenditure allowed under the said clause, shall be deemed to be the income of the SSC, meaning that the expenditure which has been allowed under section 29, if the sale value is the similar amount, in that case, it would be treated as income from business. But if the sale value is more than that, what was earlier allowed in the profit and loss account, in that case, the remaining amount would be treated as capital gain. So it is not mentioned here that it will be treated as capital gain, but it is implied. Okay. Then section 1921, where any sum is claimed or shown to have been received as loan, advance, or deposit of any kind, called by whatever name, or gift by an SSC, otherwise than by a bank transfer, The amount so received shall be deemed to be the income of such SSE for that income year in which such loan, advance, or deposit of any kind, called by whatever name or gift, was received, and shall be classifiable under the head income from other sources. So you have received a loan, or you have received an advance, or any deposit of any kind, whatever it is, or you have received a gift, and it was not actually given to you through bank transfer. So the transaction did not occur through bank transfer. If it is so, then the amount you have received, so received, shall be deemed to be income, your income, for the income year in which such loan, advance, or deposit or gift was received, and shall be classifiable under the head income from other sources. So this transaction, or this type of transaction, should be taken place through bank transfer. That is the general idea of this section. But a little bit exception is there, where a loan or part thereof, which was deemed to be income under this subsection and included in the total income of the SSC, is repaid, converted into consideration for any goods or services in a subsequent income year. The amount so repaid, converted into consideration for any goods or services, shall be deducted in computing the income of the SSC for that income year. So here it is said that whenever a loan was treated as income because of the reason that it did not take place through bank transfer, and later on, maybe in a subsequent year, you have paid it off to the bank or to any individual. So in that case, it would be deducted in computing the income of the SSC for that income year. For that income year means in the income year in which you have repaid it to the bank or to the individual. In that income year, your income would be calculated after deduction of that amount you have repaid to the bank or to the individual. And another provision is, a loan shall not be deemed to be an income under this clause if the loan is taken from a banking company or a financial institution. So here you have received a loan from the bank, not from an individual or SSC. So in that case, this clause shall not apply to that. Whenever you have taken a loan from a commercial bank, it is already in agreement with the bank, and an account has to be opened in that bank, and the loan will be paid through that account. So it means that the transfer has taken place through bank transfer. But in other cases, whatever we have discussed in other cases, you have taken a loan from an individual or from anybody else. In that case, that will apply when you do not transact through bank transfer. So in that case, it will apply like that. A loan or a gift received by an SSC being an individual shall not be deemed to be the income under this subsection if the aggregate amount of such loan or gift received in any income year does not exceed 5 lakh taka. So if you have received a gift or loan during an income year which does not exceed 5 lakh taka in all. So if you have received a gift of 2 lakh taka throughout the income year, or even 5 lakh taka throughout the income year in aggregate, and the loan was not given to you through bank transfer, in that case, it will also not be treated as income, as has been said before. Or the loan or the gift is received from spouse or parents of the SSC, and a banking channel or a formal channel is involved in the process of such loan or gift. So if you have received a gift or loan from your spouse or from the parents, in that case, if a banking channel has been used or any formal channel has been used, so maybe it has been paid to you by a check, by a cash check, and it could be otherwise. Maybe you have received a loan from an individual, means your spouse and your parents, through notarial certificate, and there are some witnesses, 2 or 3 witnesses are there. So that is also a formal channel, and in that case, it could also be treated as not income of the SSC. Okay. Let us now move to section 1922. Where an SSC, being the owner of a house property, receives from any person to whom such house property or any part thereof is let out any amount which is not adjustable against the rent payable, the amount so received shall be deemed to be the income of the SSC for the income year in which it is received, and be classifiable under the head income from house property. Provided that at the option of the SSC, such an amount may be allocated for the purpose of assessment in equal proportion to the year in which such amount is received and the 4 years next following. Provided further that where such amount or part thereof is refunded by the SSC in a subsequent income year, the amount so refunded shall be deducted in computing the income of the SSC in respect of that income year. So the subsection says that you are being an owner of a house property, you have received a certain amount of money from the tenant, and it is not adjustable against the rent payable by him. That means if your rental value of the property is 50,000 taka per month, and if you receive from him an amount of taka 10 lakhs, which is not adjustable, it has not been mentioned in the agreement or contract that it would be adjustable against the rent payable by the SSC every month to the amount of so and so. It has not been said. So it means that you have received an advance or you have received an amount from the tenant which is not adjustable against the rent payable by him. In that circumstances, the amount you have received from the tenant would be treated as income from other, would be income from house property under section 24. But you can allocate that amount of money. Allocate means the DCT can allocate that amount of money over a period of 5 years. That means in the year in which it is received and the next 4 years. So in all, this amount could be allocated over a period of 5 years. That means if you have received 10 lakh taka, and if it is allocated over a period of 5 years, in that case, every year, taka 2 lakh would be treated as income from house property under section 24. But another provision is there. If you refund that amount to the tenant in any subsequent year, so in that case, the amount you have refunded shall be deducted in computing the income of the SSC in respect of that income year. So again, when the city will calculate income from house property under section 24 in any subsequent income year, in that case, the payment you have made to the tenant, it would be treated as an expense, deductible expense. Okay, then let us move to section 1922A. Where an SSC being the owner of a house property received from any person to whom such house property or part thereof is let out, any amount exceeding taka 2 lakh other than bank transfer, which is adjustable against the rent receivable, the amount shall be deemed to be the income from house property of the SSC for the income year in which it is received. So here in this case, you are the owner of a house property and you have let out the property to somebody, or you have let out part of the property to somebody, and you have received an amount exceeding taka 2 lakh other than bank transfer. That means your amount, that means the amount you have received from the tenant. It might be 5 lakhs or it might be 10 lakhs you have received from him. Although it has been said that it will be adjustable against the rent payable by him, but it has not taken place through bank transfer. You received it in cash. No bank transfer took place. In that case, although it has been said that it will be adjustable against the rent payable, still, the amount shall be deemed to be income of the house property of the SSC for that income year in which it is received. So the taka 10 lakh which you have received or taka 5 lakh which you have received will be treated as income from the house property of the SSC. Provided that where such amount is received through bank transfer, the amount shall be adjusted within 5 years after the year of receipt or the period of agreement, whichever is lower. If after the expiry of the aforesaid period, such amount or any part thereof remains unadjusted, the amount remains so unadjusted shall be deemed to be income from the house property of the SSC in the income year in which such amount remains unadjusted. But here the case is that when you receive that amount through bank transfer, the amount should be adjusted within 5 years after the receipt or the period of agreement, whichever is lower. So if your agreement is for a period of 4 years, in that case, whatever amount you have received would be adjusted against the rent for 4 years. But the maximum period that you can use for adjustment should be 5 years, not more than that. But say, for example, if any amount remained unadjusted during that period, in that case, it will be treated as income from house property of the SSC in the income year in which the amount remains unadjusted. Okay. Okay, then let us see section 1923. During an income year, an SSC, being an exporter of garments, transfers to any person the export quota or any part thereof allotted to him by the government, such portion of the export value of the garments exportable against the quota so transferred as may be prescribed for this purpose shall be deemed to be the income of the SSC for that income year, classifiable under the head income from business or profession. So this is not in existence nowadays, because once there was a time when export quota would have been transferred to other people by an SSC. That means the quotas were actually allotted by the government, because that time there was a provision that a country cannot export any amount of ready-made garments to another country, meaning the developed country. So there was a restriction on the exportation of ready-made garments to the developed world. And that period was up to 2005. So ready-made quotas were allotted to some of the exporters. Maybe Bangladesh was allotted a quota of 1,000 units and worth taka something. In that case, Bangladesh government allocated the quotas among the ready-made garments exporters on the basis of their capacity. So the exporters then exported the manufactured ready-made garments to the European Union and the USA. Sometimes, if an exporter found it difficult to export the products in that income year, he used to sell the quota to another person who was able to export the quotas, the ready-made garments. So if such a transfer took place, this was treated as income of the SSC who was allotted the quota. But there was a prescription with regard to that. Now, how much would be the income? So maybe that was 3% of the export value that was allocated to him. So it was prescribed in the law. And in that case, the Deputy Commissioner of Taxes used to calculate the income, that means assess the income of the exporters. So you can ask me one question here. If the quota is no longer existence, or not available right at this moment, and the system is not there, then why this provision has been in the Income Tax Ordinance 1984? That could be a question. It is a very varied question. Valid question in the sense that since nobody is allotting quota to the ready-made garments exporters, and so many ready-made garment exporters are there, and they are easily exporting their goods to the developed world, especially the European Union and the USA, then why should this subsection be there? It is because of the reason that sometimes information is not received by the Deputy Commissioner of Taxes in due time. And people might have escaped income, people might have evaded income. So In the year 2000, if somebody was found to have sold out his quota, and it was not brought to the notice of the Deputy Commissioner of Taxes, but now it has come to the notice of the Deputy Commissioner of Taxes. In that case, what would happen? The Deputy Commissioner of Taxes can calculate the income of that person for that income year if he was not assessed to tax that year. So in that case, the DCT can issue a notice under Section 93 asking the ready-made garment exporter to submit his return for that income year. And in that way, he can calculate the income of the SSC. Although it has elapsed a lot of time by now. So that is the reason why it is here. And let us move to section 1924, where a company not listed with any stock exchange received paid up capital from any shareholder during any income year in any other mode, accepting by crossed check or bank transfer, the amount so received as paid up capital shall be deemed to be the income of such company for that income year and be classifiable under the head income from other sources. So the company is not listed with the stock exchange. However, the company received paid up capital from its shareholder, except through bank transfer or crossed check. So the transaction actually did not take place through crossed check or bank transfer. So in that case, that amount of money received by the company as paid up capital would be deemed to be the income of such company. That means it is the income of the company which has received it, which it has received from the shareholder. And it will be treated as an income of the company for that income year in which the paid up capital was received by it from its shareholder, not through cross check or bank transfer. So that's what you have to look at it. Okay, let us now move to section 1927, where an SSC being a company purchases directly or on hire one or more motor car or jeep, and value of any motor car or jeep exceeds 10% of its paid up capital together with reserve and accumulated profit, then 50% of the amount that exceeds such 10% of the paid up capital together with reserve and accumulated profit shall be deemed to be the income of such SSC for that income year, classifiable under the head income from other sources. So this is, of course, important for you to remember. Here it has been said that where an SSC being a company, it should be a company, not any other SSC. So if a company being an SSC purchases directly or on hire one or more motor car or jeep, and value of any motor car or jeep exceeds 10% of its paid up capital, together with reserve and accumulated profit. So first you have to consider the paid up capital plus the accumulated reserve or accumulated profit as well. So accumulated profit may be retained earning here. And if the value of the car exceeds 10% of the paid up capital and accumulated reserve and profit, then 50% of the amount that exceeds such 10% of the paid up capital together with the reserve and accumulated profit shall be deemed to be the income of such SSC. SSC means the company for that income year classifiable under the head income from other sources. So the exceeded value, 50% of the exceeded value would be treated as income from other source. So it is a restriction on the purchase of the cars or jeeps. Purchase of the cars or jeeps means the value. Value has been restricted. So you cannot buy very costly cars or jeeps. Rather, you should buy moderate cars and jeeps for the use of the company. In that way, you can just follow the austerity program. That means you should practice austerity in a company. If you follow austerity in the company, in that case, you can distribute a good amount of money as dividend. Otherwise, there would be a lot of money to be spent on the purchase of the cars and jeeps. But here, you should see one thing, the language. Language is purchases directly or hire or on hire one or more motor car or jeep. The value of any motor car or jeep exceeds 10% of the paid up capital. Now, what should be done if you purchase 15 motor cars at a time, maybe in one income year? Then you have to consider each motor car individually. That might be the language here. Otherwise, we can think that the value of the motor cars or jeeps to be purchased, which have been purchased together, should be considered jointly. That means I have purchased 15 cars, and the value of the 15th cars is this, and it has exceeded 10% of the paid up capital plus the accumulated reserve, and then 50% of the exceeded value shall be calculated as the income from other source. If it is so, if I explain it in that way, it's not incorrect. It's because the language is a little bit confusing here. So it should have been said that purchases directly or on hire one or more motor car or jeep, and the value of individual motor car or jeep exceeds 10% of the paid up capital. So in that way, it should have been mentioned in this subsection. Then it could have been more clear. So a clarification is needed here. Although in the circular issued by the National Board of Revenue, it has been said that you have to consider each and individual card separately, but the language should have been in the subsection should have been corrected in that way. Then section 1931, year where an SSE files a revised return or an amended return under section 78, 82BB or 93, and shows in such revised return or amended return any income that is subject to tax exemption or a reduced tax rate. So much of such income as exceeds the amount shown in the original return shall be deemed to be the income of the SSE for that income year, classifiable under the head income from other sources. It means that whenever you have submitted an original return and later on you have revised it and submitted the amended return, wherein you have shown an income which is subject to tax exemption or at a reduced rate. So the difference between the two, that means the income you showed in the original return and the income you have shown in the revised return, the difference money has to be treated as income from other source. It will not be exempted from tax, although it is exempted from tax had you shown it in the original return. Okay, section 1932. Where any payment made for acquiring any asset or constitutes an asset, any asset, and tax has not been deducted therefrom in accordance with Chapter 7, such payment shall be deemed to be the income of the person responsible for making the payment under this ordinance and classifiable under the head income from other source in the income year in which the payment was made. So this is with regard to deduction of tax while making the payment. So the person responsible for making the payment should deduct tax accordingly. If he fails to deduct tax while making the payment, in that case, the failure would be treated as his income. That means the tax which should have been deducted by him but not deducted shall be treated as the income of the person concerned responsible for making the payment as income from other source. So because of the failure of duty, or since you have failed in deduction of tax and you have actually caused a loss to the government, that's why you would be treated as assessee in default. And in that case, your failure of deduction of tax should be treated as income under section 33. That is income from other source. So I believe that we have covered almost all the sections under section 19. That means the subsections under section 19. So there are some other subsections, or there are some other sections as well. Special treatment in respect of investment in the purchase of bond under Bangladesh Infrastructure Finance Fund, etc., etc. So these are some of the additions to section 19, new sections, of course, you would say. So those you can have a look at the book. There is the income tax ordinance. And in this respect, I would ask you to collect the income tax ordinance, which is the original version written by somebody. Maybe this is the compilation, nothing else. So this is the original version. If you buy one income tax ordinance 1984 as amended up to the 30th day of June 2022. So you get one that will help you a lot in understanding the original version of law. But it's not that you cannot read a book written by a particular writer as a textbook. I am not discouraging you, but if you have the original version of income tax ordinance, that will be useful for everybody who are students or who are practicing members as a chartered accountant, or even who are working with companies. So I believe this is all for tonight. And thank you very much for your participation and attention. Thank you.
স্যার একটা কোশ্চেন ছিল স্যার।
Yes, please.
স্যার স্যার ব্যক্তিগত যদি কোনো একাধিক গাড়ি কিনে সেক্ষেত্রে কি কোনো ক্লোজ আছে স্যার, যে ব্যক্তিগত গাড়ির এর জন্য স্যার? যে কোম্পানির যেমন 20% পেড আপ ক্যাপিটালের রেস্ট্রিকশন করা হয়েছে, তাহলে ব্যক্তিগতর ক্ষেত্রে কোনো ক্লোজ আছে?
No clause. You can buy 5 cars. You can buy 10 cars, no problem. Even
স্যার ওই যে একটা গাড়ি কিনলে আর একটা গাড়ির ট্যাক্স তো দ্বিগুণ করছে স্যার, ওই যে 10,000 টাকা বেশি করছে স্যার, একটা করছে একটা গাড়ি
that is
যদি
different.
একই নামে একাধিক আচ্ছা স্যার এই
That is
সেকশনে
different
করে
thing. No, no.
ওকে ওকে স্যার
But here you should see whether the SSC is a company or not. So in case of a company, it has been restricted. But as an individual, you can buy more than 1 car. It's not a problem at all. But imposition of tax is different. So the imposition of tax on a car, as has been prescribed by the government, is also not very fair. It's not fair in the sense that whenever you say that income tax, this is not your income tax. You have bought the car, you are paying the tax for the car you are using. So you can say this is car tax, not income tax.
Oh,
if you say
okay,
income
thank you,
tax,
sir.
then
ওকে স্যার আরেকটা কোশ্চেন ছিল স্যার, আরেকটা কোশ্চেন ছিল রেন্টালের ক্ষেত্রে, হাউস রেন্টাল যা বাড়ি ভাড়ার ক্ষেত্রে, সেক্ষেত্রে যদি অ্যাডভান্সটা স্যার আরেকটু অ্যাডভান্সটা একটু ক্লিয়ার করে আরেকটু স্যার একটু, যদি আমি অ্যাডভান্স নিলাম সেই অ্যাডভান্সটা
Yes.
অ্যাডজাস্টমেন্ট সংক্রান্ত একটু স্যার আরেকবার একটু ক্লিয়ার করলে উপকৃত হইতাম।
Okay,
অ্যাডভান্স
yes, you have taken an advance from the tenant. That means sometimes you may need money. So you can say that, okay, if you give me some advance money, that would be of benefit to me. I can utilize it. So the person concerned, he has given you a 5 lakh taka advance, but your rental value per month is 50,000 taka. So at the end of the year, your annual value of the property would be 6 lakh taka. So if you receive the advance, that is 5 lakh taka, you can say that, okay, this will be adjustable against the
Okay, sir.
rental value. So you will say that, okay, 10,000 taka would be adjusted, or
Okay.
20,000 taka would be adjusted against the rent. That means he will not pay you 50,000 taka, rather he will be paying you 40,000 taka, or he will be paying you something else as per your contract. But it has been said that, okay, even if it is adjustable against the rent, still then it should be adjusted within 5 years' time. That means if you want to adjust it after 5 years, you cannot do that. So the whole amount of money that you have received at advance has to be adjusted within 5 years. That is the provision. Or if your contract is for a less period, that means a period of 3 years, then the advance money has to be adjusted within the 3 years' time.
Okay,
You
sir.
understand what I mean?
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Understand.
Okay.
Understand. Clear.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir,
Okay.
for your nice presentation. Nice
No,
presentation.
it's okay. My pleasure.
For hardly benefit for our all student.
Okay,
Very
thank
much.
you. Maybe
Okay, sir.
see you again.
Sir, we are help for your enrichment knowledge, sir. Help us.
It's all right.
Help us.
It's all right. If you are benefited, fine. And I can also learn something from you because you are a practicing student. You are working as an intern. You may be learning so many new things which you are confronted with. So that is also a matter of learning for me as well.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Okay.
Adab, sir.